again?
We heard a door slam.
Okay.
We'll just give them a minute to get up the stairs.
Okie doke.
So have you ever seen the redwoods before, or is that your first time?
No, I mean I've seen them over my life. I've been in various redwood forests, a little bit, and these aren't even the huge redwoods, right? These are just baby
Yeah.
redwoods, and they're still just astounding. But I've been up,
Yeah.
I remember driving. When I was much younger, driving up the coast,
Welcome,
and,
everybody.
seeing
Yeah,
the
the ones up in
sequoias.
Northern California on the Avenue of the Giants are pretty impressive.
Where's that?
The Avenue of the Giants up in Northern California,
Yeah.
uh, it's about halfway up to Crystal City.
Uh huh. I mean,
Yeah,
those are the ancient ones.
yeah, yeah. I used to, when I first got out of the Navy, I worked out for a company called Integra, and I
Yeah.
would go fill in for a guy in Eureka, California, which is way up near the border, and so I would drive up through that way. And there's the road goes right through the groves.
Yeah.
And they have the drive-through tree, the chandelier tree,
Oh yeah.
that they have the notch so you can drive your car through.
Yeah. Yep.
When was that? That was done back in the, what, 40s, 30s?
Yeah, it's still
Yeah.
there. It's still standing.
I remember those postcards.
Yeah.
I have pictures of my old Honda Accord and my family. And we stopped and took pictures with the little tree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Lester.
Good to see you, Ron. Happy New Year, man.
Same here. See
And also, by the way, and the pine cones that are the size of your head, those are remarkable.
You don't want to get hit by one, huh?
Yeah.
All right, we've just been chit-chatting, Ron, so we'll begin the meeting. Lester, we have one member in the of the public here. Will Danforth, you're taking minutes.
And we know each other.
Hi, Will. How are you? I recognize you. I thought that was you. Nice to see
Matt,
you.
do you have a copy of the?
Yes.
I didn't bring one.
Okay. What's the report for the town report? Or my report, our report.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look at that. Okay. Okay, so approval of the agenda, we have a motion for the agenda. Anyone? Good. Second?
Hi.
I was, could
Hi.
I just,
Okay, sure.
to raise it as a possible thing to add, but I was wondering if we might spend a few minutes discussing sort of a schedule for how we're going to work towards the town plan, preparing a town plan. Since, if I remember right, sometime early next year, we have to have a full draft out for public discussion. All right.
Yeah, it'll be 27, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't anticipate taking much time or anything, but just
One
so
of
that at least I'm on the ball.
Well, that's where I've got bullet point 6, yeah, bullet point 6, town plan. We'll add schedule.
Sure. Yeah. Something, just a discussion, not to actually be
Yeah,
able to
that's,
set
that's
it.
kind of what I refer to as the roadmap to Grafton.
Yeah, we took a quick run through last year on the chapters, but we have no updated data. So,
Right, we were waiting on
yeah.
Wyndham
Okay.
Regional.
Anyways, okay. So I'm just add that for a discussion.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Moved. The approval of December minutes.
I
We'll
will
have a chance to look those over. Lester, good job again.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
Is that you or AI?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't tell the difference.
No, come on. It's better. It really is. It's tighter.
Looks good.
Okay, Motion to accept December minutes.
So we're raised.
Raised, okay, moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Hopefully Lester, did I hear an aye from you, Lester? For your minutes?
Say it again.
Did I have an aye from you for your minutes?
I could do that.
All right, Weston and Sampson contract revision, did you accept it again with everyone? You got a chance to look it over? So we lost the opportunity for the extended testing.
I don't see anything in there for the possibility of having to drill separate test wells as opposed to sampling only from residences.
We had a brief discussion with Lee on that, and he said it'd be difficult to put a price on each. It'd be different depending on depth, location, whether it's in bedrock or not. He suggested we'll play it by ear. When we get to that point, be able to find, we could probably add to this at that point for monitoring well.
Okay.
As an open-ended item, I think we'll
If you
discuss that when you guys go look at the contract on Monday.
Okay.
It would seem like
you're
it'd be
worried
good.
about this?
Are you gonna need a Sunday for the contract?
It would seem like it'd be good to have language in there that allowed for that, because we're gonna have to expend it all by September.
Right, that's why he wanted to get the first round of sampling in now, first quarter, and then go from there and see where we may need to do additional testing or keep moving forward to the next quarter for,
Okay.
and if PFAS was found, then we'll target that location. And he said, he had mentioned monitoring wells, and then can't remember how he worded it exactly, but he would provide an estimation that we could hopefully, maybe that's a question for the grant, is that if we find something, can we add, because we still have that money available till the end of August.
Yeah.
And they're only at 38,000.
And, a borehole in the ground with the casing is probably going to be 15 at least, and maybe 40, somewhere in that range of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is to get a dispersal of such test points over the whole village area, not just necessarily concentrating on where a PFAS level might be high. So looking for changes over time.
Right. The only thing they offered was this level of effort and cost table, which is pretty much everything that's included in the contract.
So that would imply we'd have to have another contract
At that
to
point,
put in the test well.
right. I asked if he could provide like a time and cost basis for a well,
Okay.
and he wouldn't do it. Because he knows the variables and just,
Yeah.
all of a sudden they give us again, it's an estimate that could change. We do estimates all the time.
Yeah.
It's an estimate, not a quote, it's an estimate.
And this is much more open-ended than anything you or I would do.
Yeah. Not to go any further, I think let's just go with what we've got, get them started.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd like to know that we'll spending more of that money to get more sample points.
He's aware of that. He is aware that.
So the initial set of results will drive some of that decision making.
Exactly. Yeah, and they said the sooner we find it, the quicker we can.
Make those decisions.
Right.
Okay.
Although it might take first and second quarter testing. If the first,
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully we find nothing, but I think we're going to find something.
And I would emphasize again, it doesn't really matter that we have a high level in one place and a low level in another, as far as getting good sampling for the whole town.
Yeah.
Because we're looking for what's changing over time.
Yeah. Did everyone get the today's email from Morgan? From
Helps out, no.
did I did
We're talking
it's
about
regarding
the new sampling.
regarding-
agreement?
yeah, it's regarding Bonans.
I did see that.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I didn't read it yet.
And he's into this for 8 years now. And it was pretty strong email.
I didn't get
He has a
a
point.
look at it.
Yeah.
Brief overview.
The gist of it was that the Vermont state not to exceed level somewhere around 20 parts per trillion, I believe. And he is coming in now with the latest 27 to 28.
Yeah. But yet, okay, the federal standard is 4. Vermont standard is 20, and he's at 27. But in the letter from Kimberly Caldwell from the state, in briefly reading this, it's almost like she twisted it like, oh, everything's fine.
I mean, but to your point, Eric, can I to be clear? Have they been monitoring it for 8 years? Has it come down or gone up or stayed the same at the 27?
Gone up, I think. Actually, it's fluctuated.
It went down to 19 at one point.
It's fluctuated,
Yeah.
which is logical.
I'm sorry, which is logical?
Yeah. You'd expect the groundwater flow to vary over time.
This letter says it's exceeding me
Yeah.
over the 20 TPP.
So it's a matter of, if you had a huge concentration feeding this, you probably wouldn't see any statistically significant difference. But if it's a small concentration, a difference in rainfall or something like that could account for a different amount of this stuff being swept into his system.
Okay, but the contaminant, the materials that were the chemical, whatever it was, the effluent that has been stopped. It stopped years ago. So this is just stuff that is still just floating about in the vicinity and getting pushed into his well by various.
Right. We assume it's stopped. I think the belief is that they've stopped all sources. In fact, most people don't realize how many things have PFAS in them. And I wouldn't be at all surprised if there be a small amount coming from all kinds of different things that might still be contributing into the aquifer. Packaging and carpet and
Just
all kinds of different things that you really don't think of as being toxic. They really are, because we haven't paid any attention to PFAS.
even your Teflon coatings,
Particularly the older,
the older ones,
yeah.
that's all washed off, and then
Clothing, firefighter turnout gear. Probably
Not the
Gore-Tex.
But the previous generation.
So if I may, Charlie's letter or email back to Kim from DEC basically says, we're 26 and 27 PPT
Yeah.
over the Vermont dangerous, standard of 20, extremely dangerous. These results could not be only endangering our health, but also that our that of our surrounding neighbors. The Vermont DEC position of attenuation is obviously not happening, and it is nonsense considering that PFAS are forever chemicals. Enough is enough. When is the Vermont DEC going to step up with this issue that was promised in its letter of 2018 years ago? So it sounds like we're talking about not just the monitoring, but the treatment. Yeah,
He wants payment for the equipment he's.
right, and they say that they won't pay him for the equipment.
Right.
So the same thing could happen with this. We find
It would be interesting to see what would happen if we've got half dozen sites in town that exceed the 20 parts per trillion. I have a feeling it's a little bit like PCBs in schools.
yeah,
They started finding problems and all of a sudden, oops, we're not going to do any more testing because we can't afford to.
well, it's the same thing with the catamount. Well, there's no catamounts out there.
Mhm.
Because if they find them, they know they're going to have the expense of supporting them and monitoring them,
Protection.
and they don't have that wherewithal. So this is our catamount. Yeah. Yeah, they lowered the standard, right? In a sense, essentially they lowered.
The question always is there, what level is safe? And
Yeah.
I don't think anybody has crystal ball as to what that really is.
We still got to follow up on University of Texas.
I think the more we can educate people on where it's coming from and what we can do to abate it, the better people are going to be health-wise.
Texas A&M they were doing some studies on plant life absorbing
Plant life of where?
plant life to help contain and destroy PFAS,
Okay.
eat it up.
You guys, I know the forever chemicals are really an issue, along with nanoplastics and things like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah.
They say we all contain at least
plants aren't designed to handle them.
They say that we each contain at least a plastic bottle's worth in our systems.
That's more.
You know how many nanochemicals are in a plastic bottle? If you Google it, 240,000 per liter. It's pretty, I think. At least if you trust AI, you could say 24,000, 2,000. Still pretty.
So at least we're doing our part in finding when we have it or not, and or find a way to. As far as remediation, though, that's the whole quandary.
Yeah, but we need to steer away now with this grant. We need to have an understanding of where it is and how it's changing.
And going back to I mentioned earlier, was going back to the state saying, look, you caused this, not caused this, but you created this situation that we're in with this grant, lost the money for a wastewater system, couldn't put in a water system. And now you're saying we only can use so much of this, or use this grant to a certain point. Weston and Sampson said there's plenty of grants out there that we can continue to go for, to continue this operation. They'll help us do that. So once this one's done and all, we should probably start looking at one now for after August to continue.
But the original grant was meant to be multiple year, right?
that was in our minds.
Okay. Well,
Because we were
They're
thinking
saying
that maybe there's a way we can, right?
Yes.
Prepay this.
but the wastewater system would have had an ongoing cost, like they're saying that one, but under the grant item. Because it was operations and maintenance cost in the proposal.
Yeah,
So they're saying
Yeah.
we would have been on our own for that anyway.
yeah.
It's what we wanted. Not what was available, but.
Hmm. So in summary, we've got a new contract that's written well.
This year, and then we'll be
For this
other
year.
grants for it.
Yeah,
Just,
and they're not going to jump at you saying, "Here's the next grant you can go after." You're going to have to go after it.
Yeah.
Right, just like the municipal grant.
Well, yeah,
Right, it's like
right,
they're not going to feed you the. Well, they are, but you got to hunt for it, right?
So you really have a high, you have some confidence, some good confidence that this will be something you'll be able to get again year by year.
According to Weston and Sampson, he said that's how they
Oh, really? Oh, I missed that.
proceed. Yeah, it's just this revolving, there's snowball, I guess, that.
and I was kind of poking around a little bit, Lester, on the internet, and it does seem like there are some clean water initiatives for Vermont. I shared those pages with you.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like there were some grants that we may be able to leverage from them.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. I would think that'd be the right
Yeah.
source of funding.
If you play the timing, it could be the same as this one where you get a 1-year grant, which you're doing 2 years of sampling. You sample at the beginning and end of the year.
Yep.
So,
We should just put it as a recurring annual item that we focus on. And like you said, start now for the next year.
Yeah. And, if you're doing this to Charlie, right, with costs.
it's typical kind of
Yeah.
thing that you'd expect out of the state. Their big mistake, at the state level, was ever saying that they take responsibility for it.
Which is what he refers to in the email.
Yeah, they apparently took responsibility, and that's a big problem because they don't have infinite and deep pockets with money, and you could easily spend lots of money trying to clean up PFAS on a statewide basis.
Mm-hmm.
We should have in mind a way of turning around another contract, subcontract, or whatever you want to call it, quickly to be able to put in test borings before the money ends in September. Because we won't necessarily have a good sampling of all of the aquifer under the village by the water wells, and we don't even know yet whether everybody that we would approach for the sampling are going to want to have it done. My guess is they will, but they wouldn't necessarily have to.
Mm-hmm. Anything more, Lester?
I wish you well. No pun intended. No pun intended.
Yep. Gotta keep the worms in the can. All right, it's on to the select board next for signing it.
Yeah,
Can you see any issues with it at this point?
I don't think so, other than Suzanne had asked for a written response on the history of understanding why the whole original grant got cut, and then the people
Yeah.
got cut.
Well, Morgan sent a nice response. Did you see that?
I missed that. Oh,
Yeah, she did a really good summary,
okay.
and it covered everything from what we did, you know, our meetings with
Okay, all right, I'll read it.
Justin and Sampson and
Somehow I missed that.
Yeah.
All right,
it kind of ended there.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
I would think she would have maybe reached out to one of us that more,
Well,
can we do?
it was nice of her to do that. You know, Suzanne could have just been told to review all the
Yeah,
videos of our meetings.
yeah. Ironically, she was part of the water committee and
Yeah,
didn't
well,
respond back
yeah.
to us either when we
Yeah.
were doing our meetings.
You should have been well aware.
all right,
Anyways, okay.
that was it.
Yep, okay, Wind Foundation's Act 250, did everyone have a chance to take a look at that? And we just basically look at it and that's all we can do, right?
Well, that's not all we could do. We are a statutory party to all Act 250 hearings with regard to draft, as is a select board. Individuals have to apply to get party status, but we automatically have it if we want to weigh in on some issue. It's a question, do we want to weigh in on it? And I personally, I don't think there's a need to.
The only question I have is that, you know, they've gone from having a right for 3 events and they've jumped to wanting 24 without much of an explanation of why. So do they have, you know, big plans that are going to come, you know, something every 2 weeks or what? Or if
Probably
they
twice a
want
month.
flexibility or?
So when we do like the town picnic down there, is that considered an event?
I think so.
So they sort of already exceed the number of events. But it was,
Yeah, one picnic a year or something.
Right.
No, it's, you know, I'm not worried about anything per se. It's a pretty big jump, and I can imagine part of it is that it's pure hell to go through a 250 permit process, and we learned that when I'm blanking on his name, and from the foundation was that one of Tom Troughton's public meetings.
oh, Dan,
And he made clear that, you know, they're going through hell on this themselves, and I would have thought they had, you know, some pull. But anyways, you know, 3 to 24 is kind of a radical change.
and is there more that they can add to this that they may need in the future while they're doing this?
I think they said they were trying to make it pretty broad initially, so they didn't have to go back. So I think they're trying to repeat what they actually want
Okay,
to be able to have that cushion. That's what they said when they were explaining it.
Yeah.
I guess you have to ask, would an event, 1 out of 24 as opposed to 1 out of 3, and be any worse than the 1 out of 3 with them at the 24? It's not like you're magnifying the intensity of the event. It's just that you're having more of them. And if you're having more of them, what's the cumulative impact on neighbors and the community of Grafton? It has to be evaluated according to the criteria of Act 250.
because they're gonna ask about traffic, number of people, water availability, wastewater.
But is 1 out of the 24 any more significant than 1 out of the 3?
Good point.
this is originally a issue because one of the neighbors didn't like the lights and snowmaking machinery noise. And it is made running a business there, I think. I don't know anything about the internals of Wyndham Foundation, but I think it's made it very difficult for that to be a break even or even profitable part of the business.
Oh, the ski touring center.
Ski touring or whatever they're doing.
That's very limited. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's a meeting Monday the 26th, 9:30. I was going to attend. District 2 Environmental Commission's holding the meeting. 26th.
Monday.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be in California.
I'll fly you back.
What's that?
We'll fly you back. We've got the fun.
It's
in the budget.
2025, close out, 2026 plans, so I'll be there for a week. I thought I wasn't gonna miss any meetings, but I guess I missed all.
So they're gonna meet down there, then they're gonna come back up here and have a public hearing.
So I think it's important that if you choose to engage as the planning commission, we need to discuss how there are certain parts of the criteria of Act 250 that the District Environmental Commission, or what are they calling themselves now, are looking at for this permit change. And we have to address those issues with any issues we have that impact those issues specific, not the whole range of 10 other subdivisions. It's just those that.
Right. And it's amending their existing, which goes back to what, 1970s or 80s?
I don't, I think it's in the 80s probably.
And it's just a number of events. It's just nothing's changing physically there. I mean, I think as a planning commission, we should support it. Sure. Within
My perspective of having better commerce in town, make it more possible for a business to succeed. Yes, I'm not sure that's part of the criteria that they're going to look at in Act 250. And if you go back to what, I don't know if it's outlined there, but there are a series of, there are 10 major criteria, and then there's some criteria.
Yeah.
They're going to look at specific ones of those.
Yeah, no, this is just a notice.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
So we should be addressing those, not something else. That's all I want to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have, as I said, statutory party status, so we could engage as a planning commission.
Would it make sense then, after the meeting on the 26th and the public meeting and a core item on an agenda for us is to review each of those criteria and see what we think about them and what we know about the proposal, a bit more hopefully, and whether we can support it, in terms of what Eric's, suggesting.
In order to really do that, I think we would have to be right on the stick and get that information to each of us and hold a special meeting prior to 26. It's really hard to do, and then you can represent the planning commission if we've got a bone to pick with the situations.
So you're suggesting we look at this in terms of criteria before the public meeting?
Yeah, that's where we should be weighing in is at the
Yeah,
public
no,
hearing.
I understand that. I guess what I'm thinking about, especially given the time frame and, you know, the generality of the proposal, is that, you know, we're using the public meeting almost as part of the input to help us. But we're not in a position to, you know, have anything concrete to say, I think by the 26th.
Well, this is a hearing to
Yeah,
gather those questions.
yeah,
So they're not gonna make a decision on that day.
no,
So we could use it as,
But if we wish to make testimony,
right, we
I
need,
think if this forum is what I'm familiar with from the past, it's a quasi judicial kind of operation, and you need to have party status to give testimony. And an individual, like a neighbor, I believe the closest neighbors also have party status. But if you were displaced from being a near neighbor, you would have to make a entreaty to the commission in order to have party status, to have your opinion lodged into the actual decision making.
Mhm.
They take comments from anybody, but if you want to have weight
Yeah.
in what you're doing, you want to have party status. And like Ron said, it's really difficult for us to turn around a planning commission opinion between now and the 26th. We're gonna have individual comments, and the group certainly takes that information into account, but not with any gravity.
I mean, it does state that they intend to narrow the scope of that this year to wastewater and stormwater traffic issues, aesthetics, unless that scope is expanded.
Okay, those are the things.
Pull that up. Is that the,
Probably water.
is it on this? Oh, yes, page 2 here, yeah.
So they're kind of narrowing it down. There's
Yeah.
okay, there was 3 areas.
So tonight we actually could form an opinion on any one of those that we could weigh in as Matt's the chair, as representing the planning commission, to speak.
how can we do that when we don't even know what the hell they want to do when they have their events?
Right, this is the rule, but we need to see their actual revision, their application revision.
Subject to their behaving properly, we, go ahead. It's, I don't see how we can, sort of claim to have, that sort of standing for the 26th. We just don't know anything.
Other than attend the hearing, I can ask Dan for their application, right, as the planning commission.
It should be available online.
They have it. They have to look the little QR code or go to that link they have.
Yeah, can you forward that to me? Thank you for looking it up.
The link?
Yeah.
Sure. We make sure it works.
Well, we can all look at it individually,
Yes,
and if we see something, then we'd have to do a
should have a
hearing.
should have a meeting to empower you to speak on the planning commission's behalf. Or if you want, you can go there.
At that meeting, though, do it at that meeting. You're the planning commission will, if we see something.
Yeah, see something, say something.
Yeah, so they do have everything in here, like they have a site plan. It looks like it's kind of contained within their current footprint. But it's got there's probably 40 docks in here. That, you know, you can be, maybe not 40, but
Yeah, it's complicated.
there's quite a list. So it's got all the application data. I'll send it to them.
It's just tough to have a say. I mean, you know, if they're gonna pull, you know, 3 VSO concerts a year, as part of this, that's one thing, but, you know, with the ice, you know, parade down there instead of up here, you know, make a lot of people happy. You know, I'm just for myself. It's like I have nothing to work with, except
I'm sorry, but
they
what
might do
are,
24 things.
what are you concerned they might be doing that would be objectionable?
I have no concerns per se, because I can't even, you know, I can't get my head around what it is that they might be doing, and it might be worth a conversation. But, you know, so what kind of events do you anticipate handling there? Maybe we could direct you to give a call to the foundation and just ask that question. But no, you know.
But in our wildest dreams, I mean, again, forgive my ignorance and being, you know, whatever, just stubborn. But saying to the extent isn't anything that they could do beyond the limited stuff that they do be good for the town? Or do you think really stuff? And wouldn't the people object at the moment if they came up with something, you know, like a motorcycle race or whatever? Which I can't imagine.
He did come and talk to the select board, and I think they did a presentation at the Heritage Room
What?
as
Sorry?
well. They did come and talk or he did come and talk to the select board, and I think they also did a presentation at the Heritage Room next door that was open to the public. I don't think they actually know. He said they're being broad and they're trying to expand their options. The examples that he used were possibly like concerts, additional concerts. They didn't say motorcycles, but they said maybe more of a bicycle type race, like you know, a motorbike. You know, not engines, right? I think they viewed that as kind of disruptive, but they were talking about, you know, maybe some sort of bike racing, you know, things like that on the trails.
Yeah.
So, and those were examples, right? Because I think what they said is they wanted to expand the opportunity to have events.
Yeah.
And then they would have to determine what those events are,
Yeah.
you know, over time. And they may even change or evolve. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, no, it's, you know, take, you know, they said, you know, perhaps more concerts and so on. Well, you know, if you have the reincarnation of the Grateful Dead, you're going to have 40,000 people here. You know, so
I think they're being,
if it's a chamber music group out in the summer there, that's.
I think they're being realistic about the
I know.
numbers of people they could have there, and I think the Act 250 would kind of limit that anyway, wouldn't they? That they'd say you could have this many, and I doubt it'd be 40,000.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Yeah, it should be on the application because they're going to ask how many, how many, with the traffic situation, how many in, how many out.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think it's probably in here somewhere.
Yeah. So what constitutes an event currently in their application? That's something we need to find out. Because you're right, going from 3 to 24. That's what constitutes an event. And town picnic's an event. There's a couple hundred people there for that. 100 people.
We've had the tractor show out there.
Yeah.
Well, what are the 3 events they're calling this year? Because there are more than 3 things that are going on.
Well, there's the concert, 4th of July,
Third.
Town picnic.
town picnic.
Had a square dance for the fire department a couple years ago.
And during the wintertime,
They do the sleigh rides and
yeah, or even the cross country.
cross country.
And the schools used to come for a cross country race. That would be an event, yeah. You're attracting more than just.
Yeah.
And they have had, bicycle events there too.
So this would make it more permanent that, yep, we can do this officially now, or. So there's probably no issue, but it's just a matter of, we should know
Yeah,
what.
I agree. I don't anticipate there would be an issue, but, you know, it'd be nice to have a little more, precision on what they're, you know, really anticipate doing.
Cause you know, that's gonna be asked in their
Yeah.
process here.
Yeah.
Spreadsheet of prospective events. PDF.
They have one?
Yeah.
Here's sirens in New York.
You hear those?
So
Yeah. They looking for you, Lester?
Right, there's a fire station right behind it. Drives Peggy crazy.
So a farmer's market, an outdoor art gallery and fair, gathering of food trucks, exhibition of vintage automobiles, celebration of area farms and food producers, celebration of annual harvest, find loving homes for animals in need, remembrance for a loved one who has died, vintage tractors and car fundraisers for GHS, winter sports activities for GTOC, host 2 mountain bike races, host 2 cross-country ski races, food, beverage, kids activities.
Town picnic in there?
But
Town picnic wasn't in there. We getting booted out?
I think that might fall under the celebrations of farms and food producers. I don't know.
Whatever, yeah. So it's all good. It's all
Yeah,
good.
I mean, it's nothing, like, so they have bike races, and cross-country ski races. But a lot of it's more like, the farmer's market, which she did mention at the top. I forgot about that. They did mention maybe wanting to do a farmer's market. So, but it seems
That
more.
would be nice because that would be an ongoing event,
Yeah,
perhaps every week or.
yeah, it does say for that, once weekly.
Yeah, it sounds good.
That's just potential.
Yeah.
And then most of the others are maybe monthly for gathering of food trucks. And most of the others are annual or occasional. So there is those.
Where was that posted? 'Cause I never saw it.
It's on the Act 250 application.
Okay.
Actually, I didn't do it yet, but
Yeah.
I said I would send you the link.
Okay,
Yeah. It's in that letter. So
Yeah.
I'll send you a document.
no, because that answered a lot of my, you know, reason for asking the question in the first place.
Right.
Okay, good.
I believe I sent this to everyone.
Yeah, no, but I didn't see that sheet.
Yeah, and I didn't have
Yeah.
time to go through like.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Do we have our own AI, right?
Right? I'm a bit of a researcher in that when I get.
I know, so thank you for doing that. So, anything more on that? DRB doesn't get involved at all, anything like this. There's no subdivision. There's no subdivision that DRB would come in and play on it.
I have two, is Sutter.net and Gmail.net. Which one do you prefer?
The Gmail.
I think you're right, unless they were planning on doing something that changed the way they addressed flooding concerns or subdivision, DRB wouldn't become involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said shelter.
Great.
All right,
Do you want to speak at the public hearing on behalf of us?
well, do you want to do a motion that we accept what they're looking to do, or you want
I certainly would like the idea that we're trying to support and encourage commerce in town, and that this appears to be a good addition to that.
Yeah, I agree.
to, that would be,
The types of things they have on their list, I would support.
yeah,
Yes,
and that'd be good for,
exactly. Given the
The,
scope
take
of
to
their
hear-
proposed activities,
yeah,
But the planning board, a motion for Matt to represent the planning commission in general is supportive of the Act 250 expansion for the types of activities listed.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
I'll second that motion.
Oh,
I've got motion.
that the planning commission is supportive of the Grafton Ponds Act 250 expansion or the types of activities listed in the proposed expansion.
Yeah.
So the planning commission is supportive of Woodland Foundation's Grafton Ponds, the Grafton Ponds?
That's what I call it. We should go discuss
Actually, they're calling it,
Door
the
center.
Grafton Trails and Outdoor Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, as they call it, 2W0157-7.
Okay, so, supportive of the Woodland Foundation's Grafton Trails and Outdoor Center expansion of events from 3 to 24.
Yeah, it says a maximum 24.
All right,
Given the type of activities proposed in the submission,
based on,
yeah. I think that's important. That's
Yeah, and
That's
looking
concrete
at,
thing we have to work with.
yeah. And looking at the other documents, it looks like they planned in the footprint of what they have there now.
so based on the submission of the events.
Given the types of events,
Types of-
I would want to be a little more specific, that's all.
Events listed?
Well, I'd say the types. I don't know.
Like-
The best thing to say
Type of-
legally.
It's good, it's sufficiently vague that they don't have to
Types of
have it
events
exact.
listed.
Yeah, especially if they go back and add something or, change something.
Yeah.
We don't want to meet again just to do that.
The motocross would be kind of cool.
Actually, the kind of motocross that
Yeah,
my son is involved in, it's through the woods kind of stuff. It's
Yeah, the bike.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's getting really popular are these rock climbing vehicles. There's not a lot of noise. It's just
Yeah.
that they
called crowds.
right. They
Crowds
climb.
pipe.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the next step up from that is a through the woods motocross kind of race. And Ivor and Morgan and I both been quite active in that over the past years. Not terribly disruptive. I've been to some of their events before.
Mhm.
Not the sort of thing I probably wouldn't even pay attention to, not, as a neighbor. It's not intrusive.
Mhm.
Certainly if they had trials like so. Nobody would even know that was good.
Okay, so motion again. Planning Commission is supportive of Woodland Foundation's Grafton Trails and Outdoor Center expansion expansion of events from 3 to 24 based on submission of types of events listed.
Yep.
Good, okay.
So moved.
Eric motioned? No, who motioned? Bud motioned, Bud. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Lester, you good? Yeah, okay, good. Okay. First motion we've done in a while.
Okay.
All right. Act 181. The impact and then the communities. I said agenda, but they're questions to this act, which was very good. Did anyone attend? Did you attend?
I just wanted to interrupt and ask if, am I on the agenda for tonight?
I don't think we added it, but we can do it under public comment.
That'd be fine.
Yeah. I had sent you a note a while ago about the invasive species.
Oh my gosh.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, we'll do it under public comment.
Okay.
But we'll
I apologize.
formalize it. Yeah.
No problem. It's very interesting to hear the process going on. Be fast, win the foundation, you know.
Okay, so 181.
I thought you were here because of Act 181, since they've done a broad brushstroke and all.
Well, I've talked with Alex Weinhardt, Weinhagen, I think, about it, who's the guy who came here to present, to be here.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, yeah, it is it's something I'm trying to pay attention to.
Oh, yeah.
As well. So.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's where
Okay,
this
so
is.
back to 181.
Yeah, I listened in. I didn't have a chance to comment or ask questions, but I listened in on this last week. What I got from it was, the state's doing this act and what it's costing them, who knows? But yet when it was asked, how is the community and the landowners going to be notified? He basically said, we don't have the money to do any notifying or community awareness of
Well, that's cute.
what's going on. And it's like, well, that really struck me and it struck a couple of others. And it's like, really? So you're doing this, but you don't have the money to send out some notices to landowners who might be affected by this.
Yeah, if there's no talk of compensation for loss of property rights and values, as this rulemaking designation by the state agency, I presume it's A&R, has decided to impose on a very broad part of many towns.
Oh, yeah.
We're heavily impacted in Holmville, and Townsend's really hammered.
Chester?
I've been feeding some of this information to Andrew Snelling, who's the clerk of the Townsend Planning Commission, and it's on their agenda for tomorrow night. Bring it up into their awareness that this has happened.
Yeah. Well, it's at the point where the train's on the tracks and we can't stop it.
Yeah.
Which
Actually, I think you can make the law is there. The rulemaking is not complete. I think there's still the opportunity to throw a big monkey wrench in the rulemaking that it may make it go away.
What do you mean by the rulemaking? I'm sorry.
Well, the law is in broad brush, talking about trying to preserve forest blocks and animal corridors, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But what they have chosen to do is they've designated, without local input where forest blocks are, and put in basically zones where the tier 3 designation makes development damn near impossible.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I'm trying to get at the notion of affecting the rulemaking, so
That's
who do you anticipate making the rules?
That's the rulemaking part. I don't believe that the actual designations of parts of land are cast in stone the way the
No,
statute.
No.
it's not. That's
they're not.
something that was mentioned in this meeting was that, yeah, they did do a broad brush of the state.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone needs to kind of look at their land and get boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You can paint it, you can paint over 30,000 feet, paint whatever you want. But if you're not on the ground saying, oh, this is not effective here.
I mean, like the regional commissions around the state, they're under the gun. They're supposed to do something. Okay, the law says do something. Okay, then it's not very clear, but and so now the whole state has come under. These commissions have done something rather, common, pretty much the same, which is interesting. And one thing I worry about is you say, okay, why Stagecoach Road? Give us a reason and all that. So work that out. I said, make little adjustments and so on. You don't want to ever tell them, gee, there are half a dozen other places in Grafton that are exactly the same, and they'll say, oh, gee, we forgot that. That goes on, But you want them to remove things, But they're doing this because, let's be frank, the Global Warming Solutions Act says do it. Okay, we've got to do something like this, and so part of this is. If each individual town and planning commission and so on, select board fights this on its own, it's all going to go through minor adjustments for each place. So part of it is reaching out, both our community groups. We already know that there are some people meeting who are worried about this. Reaching out to other towns, the select boards maybe need to do that as well, and the planning commissions. So that we have a voice that carries a little bit of weight. My sense, if we're fighting this on, Route 121 West and, Wyandotte, so on, we'll get something, we'll lose something, but it'll be done. Something will be done, and it'll be arbitrary. And that's the last part. I've done enough work in this area. These corridors and blocks and so on, scientifically, are crap. It's just crap. And
that's why not having local input is the wrong way to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would have to ask them why they're crap.
Well, having the information so you can say this is really a corridor used by these certain species and so on, it really isn't all that well established. And at this point, I'm speaking from my experience because I actually have training in my area of research in ecology, including stability and complexity and systems and ecosystems and so on. So those types of things, they were very hard to reproduce. Someone would do a little bit of work and publish it and so on, and no one could build on it. So. That's what I mean. It doesn't carry a lot of weight for me.
I suspect that like the Nature Conservancy, one of the big ones.
Yeah.
I'm on their ambassadors board. Why, I don't know, but they wanted me. Nevertheless, they have identified like 4 places on the globe that are really important for diversity and corridors and stuff like that. One, no surprise, the Amazon.
Yeah.
And I've think it's like, Borneo or something like that.
Yeah,
Another one is the grasslands of Kenya, which surprised me. And the other one is the Appalachians, all
Yeah.
the way up through the Canadian Maritimes.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're working really hard to establish.
Yeah.
And we know, or I would argue, business as usual hasn't worked because we've changed the chemistry of the air and the water, not to our benefit.
yeah.
Something big needs to change.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, yeah, no, I agree with you. But, you know, so the Appalachians, you know, so you paint a stripe along an area of it, or a corridor, and that, what I'm suggesting, and that part is rather arbitrary.
It may be so. I suspect there aren't a lot of corridors that are available
Yeah.
out there that are connected
Yeah.
currently. But probably a lot of disconnected ones that need to be connected. So,
Possibly.
you know,
But like say in Vermont, when we go more specifically for Vermont, you know, at a certain level, this is a golden age for wildlife, you know?
how is that level?
Well,
Everything's declining and crashing.
But the numbers, you know,
Populations.
we've got more bears and, you know, in a long time.
Something
You know,
We've got
Exactly,
Something
change in
that
habitat.
all the ground bees, you can point to one species of bear,
yeah,
and that's a lot to do with the wildlife management.
yeah,
Which
Exactly.
is connected to the economy and the old way of doing things.
yeah,
Meanwhile, you look at the pollinators, most of which are native bees, and they're crashing, they're 70% down.
yeah,
And that's gonna be a cost.
yeah,
to
no, I
us.
agree with that, but that crashing is, you know, beyond just a Vermont issue.
Oh, sure,
Yeah,
it is. I would just argue it's incumbent on all of us.
Yeah, but it brings us back why we
You know, it is the argument of sacrifice going forward.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, business as usual.
Yeah.
Just isn't working.
Yeah.
Agree with that. I would suggest that the business of designating wildlife corridors and forest blocks be an interactive one with local people. And furthermore, instead of just condemning land to be just conserved, that we'll look at the actual travel of animals, that takes some biological survey work, boots on the ground, and at a local level, in the select board, taxpayers actually pay for the establishment of easements for corridors. And they don't necessarily have to be half-mile wide corridors. They can be, depending on the species, they can be just a country roads wide corridor and still be effective. That was at least what one of the towns up north discovered when they started to do the early animal corridor study in their own town and set up. They found that a strip of partially forested old road managed to pass all kinds of different species that they didn't realize were using it. I got it into the Wyndham Regional Plan, and I think it's in the Graft Town Plan, that the select board could purchase easements from people for that purpose. And I really hope that that eventually comes to be before I'm dead.
Yeah.
There are places in town, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just the Stagecoach Road area that has been designated Tier 3. There are a bunch of places in town where easements could be purchased that would be wide enough for most species to travel between the blocks of basically uninhabited land. We hope that happens. It may take some arm twisting, because it'll cost money for the collective good of the town to impose on the values of the land that are owned by landowners. Um, I think it's a good public investment. And to go back to one of Ron's comments about some of these designations being kind of crazy. If you look at one of the sublayers of the in our map, the map of all maps of where they've got deer yards and they've got watersheds and all the other sorts of things, they've got forest blocks in there. They've got one kind of forest block on the west side of Route 35 going to Chester, and another on the other side, when in fact, both sides, to my uneducated mind,
Yes.
look just about the same.
Yeah.
So the guys at the state who take the 30,000 foot view and do everything arbitrarily and say, now you will do it, ought to take a little bit of a back step and involve local people in the process. That's why if we can bring down the hammer hard enough on this rulemaking process, maybe we can get them to recognize that that's the better way to go.
I would totally agree that I think the public needs to be involved, and there needs to be a massive conversation. But it's such a paradigm shift.
It is
a whole new relationship with nature. It's so huge that I don't know that, you know, so many people are scared out there. They're scared of affordability, which is a big word today, of course.
Yeah.
They're scared of all kinds of things, and there's so much misinformation out there. And it's like, we don't have time to argue this forever. You know, it's at some point, you gotta just do it. So, I acknowledge the difficulty. It's huge. It's just massive. I think the more the people talk and the more they get educated, the better it would be.
Well, I think the discussion over wildlife corridors ought to be one that the Planning Commission and the Select Board engage the public in.
Yeah.
The Select Board is going to own up to the fact it's going to cost money. The Planning Commission has to realize that we've got to look at doing this with a lot of public input and perhaps in real engagement with people that actually own the land where these corridors might be put in.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree. We're afraid of lots of things, but if we take the viewpoint that we need to live with our wildlife instead of exclude it and be afraid of it. So many people are afraid to go out in the dark at night because of the bears or some other damn foolishness like that.
Right.
Unless you feed them, they're not going to be very interesting in eating you.
I'm more scared of rabbit raccoons myself, but
Yeah, 20 pounds of nice sharp little teeth. Yeah,
Porcupine that's living in our garage now is a problem.
which
Porcupine that live in our garage now, so. Our dog has had encounters that cost several $100s each time the last 2 years.
So regarding these, corridors for wildlife, you mentioned the Appalachian Trail. Most of our local deer are running down to Georgia. So what wildlife are they looking at to use the entire?
there's way too many deer, and not on my place, thank God. But there's too many deer out there, and the species that pay the price are, of course, all the plants and all of the
Sure.
the things that they eat. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Deer are such a weird thing because there's a whole nother economic thing associated with them and hunting and the whole culture of hunting and everything like that. Not that I have anything against it, but you know, that just skews all the numbers and all the thinking about how they're managed. They're actively managed, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the
So-
regulation.
Yeah, so if you're talking about corridors, you're talking about amphibians and reptiles and all the other mammals, like newts and the insects and trees. I mean, trees are moving, what, north, I don't know, 100 feet a year, something like that. It's a small amount, but you know, they're moving north, they're moving up.
Yeah.
All of our forests, we're gonna lose all our ash trees pretty soon, all our beech trees too, to beech leaf disease. Our forests are gonna be massively different in 5 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they already are very different.
So, and that's, you know, is there blame? Well, probably not. I mean, you can point to all kinds of things, you know, but these are pathogens that were brought in hundreds of years ago, maybe 100 years ago, you know. I don't know about beech leaf disease. Maybe that's the more recent one, but.
With respect to local corridors that need to have significant length, bears travel over really, you know, long trips
They do,
regularly.
they do.
It's tough for them because they're so shy to give them the freedom to do that. So, I think some of our other predator species, like bobcats, are also ones that like to range a fair amount.
Yeah. I see like what, 10 square miles for a female, maybe 20 for a male, something like that. I don't know, but you know, something like that. But less than a bear.
Yeah.
But significant.
Yeah.
So regarding this meeting the other day, the biggest concern was the tier 3, which is the wildlife corridors. Tier 1 is where there's zoning,
Yeah,
villages. So in these wildlife corridors, it's pretty much affecting those that have homes there already. And
it's stopping from further
development.
Yeah.
But yet they talk about roads. If your road is more than 800 feet, you need to, falls under this. But yet if it's under 800 feet, it's still almost 3 football fields.
Yeah.
In length. That's an impact in itself. So where'd they come up with the 800 feet was my question. I wish I could have asked that, but kind of, you can ask the question and maybe get an answer, but it's, again, the train is on the tracks and,
some of that length of road building has always been in Act 250. I don't remember what the length is, but there's a provision in it about extending roads, or making long driveways even.
mm-hmm.
I don't remember what the length is, but sounds like just a modification of that.
Yeah, that's basically all this is. I think some of it is a benefit and others are concerning. Sure.
Well, I don't like the almost arbitrary imposition of it. And I think as a town, we need to actively, and with compensation, establish wildlife corridors that connect forest blocks. I don't think it's a real stretch of the imagination to do that. There's a certain amount of boots on the ground that are necessary to establish where the animals are going right now. and where we might better make their life easier by establishing cover for them to get through.
Also,
Partly would be to, in a sense, return the issue to, the towns locally. So if you can put the kibosh on these broad strokes that are, to me, relatively arbitrarily set in place, and then, but if you're gonna do that, then what you need to be able to do then is commit yourself to really establishing the areas that might be the town, which won't be just in the western part of Grafton.
Right.
So you have to have, in a sense, the political capacity to do that with the state and with the regional commission as well. Okay, you've got to back off in what you've just done, because it makes no sense. You're really upsetting a lot of people. But the issue is important. So let us have a go at it, because guess what? You don't have enough money to fund 22 separate studies in Windham County. And it doesn't take that much money, perhaps, and I think Eric's right, to just start off with, local knowledge.
mm-hmm. Tomorrow's meeting in Townsend, I can't make that, but would you be interested in?
No, I wasn't planning on going, but I hope to get some feedback from their clerk, Andrew Snellen.
Okay, so at least we'll have some communication there.
Yeah. I sent him earlier on the stuff that we got from that public meeting, and then I forwarded this that you gave us from FYI Vermont.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, Rutland County is beginning to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to bring that up real quick while you've got it? So basically, anyone follow FYI Vermont?
Oh yeah,
Something like that.
super resource.
Yeah, did you read this on Rutland? And
Yeah.
that from anyone?
Rutland County, yeah.
The county, yeah. They nailed all of the questions that our group had here in town. And it's all right here in this.
Well, that's partly why the towns have to work together.
Yeah.
Instead of everyone
Exactly. Yeah.
And
fighting the same fight, but on their own.
in this article, they kind of paint the local regional planning commission in a very bad light. I think the regional planning commissions are caught between the state and the locals, and it's not their fault that this came along.
Mhm.
It is their responsibility to educate us about it. And maybe if we work as a planning commission, come up with a way of meeting the needs of connected forest blocks with corridors, maybe we can introduce a template, if you will, for the regional planning commission, then to fan out to the other towns. A&R, I think they're probably doing the best they can, but they really should be approaching it in a collaborative fashion rather than a arbitrary fashion.
Yeah. But we don't have a whole lot of time because this is gonna, whatever gets done here beginning in March, it's gonna be law on January 1st, 27.
Really?
And, but they think they can still modify rules going forward.
According,
No?
according to Alex, that they're gonna, it's a short window to work on all this.
Do they need final approval of the map from the legislature this year? Or
I don't know.
it's just gonna be an administrative effect?
Probably administrative, I would think.
If I could just, I don't have this in memorized or anything, but my understanding of the time frame was that basically they've already written to the second iteration of the law, and they have until like something like May, maybe June, but May for public comment and stuff like that. Then they're going to write the third iteration of the law. And that will come around, and there's no changes to speak of. There's some public comment opportunities, but then it goes into the law at
Again, of year, yeah,
first of
yeah,
January.
you're right. That's exactly the time frame. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
We gotta get busy. Between us and the select board, I think, that ought to be a primary, well, I think it should be a primary focus of attention. There's so little time, and it has such a big impact.
So, as far as tiers go, 1 and 2, there's nothing we can do about it. We have no zoning. We have the village center. So it's tier 3 and the forest blocks, as you mentioned. Plans though. I mean, you can see how they painted that from Wyndham, Houghtonville, Old Stage into Chester, and all of Chester, Popple Dungeon, that all got brushed in. So that's what they're considering the corridor, I bet.
Yeah.
From east to west.
And probably it's their smoke share.
Yeah. So that's sort of coming from the Appalachian Trail and then working its way around the towns.
So still, how you go between the blocks should be an interactive process with the towns. And I think the towns should, just in my opinion, be funding the purchase of the easements.
So you have these sections that are designated, and then the landowner that's next to that can do.
As they normally would.
Yes, yeah, they can do their
But
development.
not in tier 3.
Right.
So that's where the boots on the ground come in.
But if we think about it that way, one is like it's accepting their map and just saying, but it's not fair to the landowner, so we'll cough up some money for them. I don't like the idea of accepting their map.
No.
To me, it looks to have a lot of arbitrariness to it.
It's one thing to purchase maybe a block of that, but then all of a sudden you look at that whole swath,
That's a long
and
way.
you'd have to purchase a lot of different lands up through there. It's not just one section.
Yeah, well, once you accept it, you've got to fund the whole length.
Well, fund at least whatever a biologist would say is sufficient. And multiple locations around town so that animals could travel freely.
That's a different issue. That's talking about, being able to come up, through the efforts within the town and whatever money we want to spend for experts. with a map that, fits as close to the real needs as we can figure out. Okay. That's different than accepting the map that's been proposed and
We have to push back on that.
money back to, the folks that are living along there.
Right.
It's two different ways of going. And, the one that has the best potential to actually being of use to wildlife is if we can come up with a better set of locations and connections. So, to me, an early position is to tell them to go to hell with their map.
Yeah.
Well,
And you need backing from other towns. And a commitment to do something yourself that's viable. So, we're not just seeing and we are not just being selfish and so uncaring. There are issues to face.
So basically,
But we don't know them yet. Okay.
you get all the towns to say that, we don't accept the mapping and it's unacceptable what you've rushed in here.
Yeah, and let us
We-
have
we
a
accept-
crack at
we-
it.
right,
Give us
we
a
accept
deadline. Okay.
the reasoning
So we're not
behind it,
putting
but we
off
don't-
10 years, but give us an 18-month deadline or something, come up with a map that
Yeah.
is more realistic.
And this all started last year in 24 into 25. And now it's moved this far. And when's the first time you actually heard of 181?
yeah, but they didn't just start last year because we addressed it to a certain extent in the last edition.
It was
of the town
171.
plan.
It was Act 171.
Yeah, so it's been around in one form or another.
Okay, so 171 has moved up to 181,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. Because back then, I remember seeing a report from that town up north, and they had all kinds of wildlife traveling over basically an old country road that is not used anymore. It was pretty narrow, but they had all kinds of wildlife going there. Along it.
And I have a friend in Red Bank, New Jersey, not too far from the bigger cities. And in his backyard, he has deer every night, bear, he sees at least once a month, and bobcat in Red Bank, New Jersey, not too far from the coast. And he says the deer have eaten everything in his yard.
They're voracious.
Deer everywhere.
Doesn't have to mow.
So, that's,
But
you can
don't
argue
we,
this point.
don't we know? I mean, Eric, I've heard you discuss this for a couple of years already. Don't we know where the natural places where the animals, where the wildlife go already? I mean, isn't that something that is pretty much known, or is it constantly changing? I mean,
Well,
where they cross the roads, where they considered to be.
I would say in general, they're going to be following stream drainages.
Oh.
For a couple of reasons. One is that most people don't try to cut fields back too close to brooks. There's usually a buffer, even if it's a small buffer.
Yeah.
And the other, of course, would be following feet, basically going between where they're going to find something to eat.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't necessarily inform the state and everybody how to go about doing this in some, rational way.
That somebody setting up in Montpelier or Waterbury or wherever the Agency of Natural Resources, they're not going to know where the natural populations are and how they're moving.
Understood, but they should get that's the kind of info they could get from us, from the local.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That's
You can talk, like, Buzz just mentioned, Lester talked to the hunters.
Hunters actually
Hunters,
know
yeah.
a fair amount of that.
And as well loggers.
Or just if you like to hike, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I can tell, just going out on we have a lot of old farm and trust. And so it's like 300 acres that there's no buildings on, and there's a lot of animals up there because, because it is open. And hunters like it up there because it's a big open, area. But you can tell, like from John Duran State Forest, up over Fisher Hill, there's kind of a path over Rushton's farm that'll head up to Kidder Hill, following the river. And then on the Molly Beatty, Grafton actually has
It is,
a fair amount of natural areas still.
yeah.
from the Durand Forest.
With the park, the Molly Beatty, Kidder Hill, the GOA has most of Kidder Hill. Fisher Hill is pretty much undeveloped. And there's the beaver pond and the stream that comes down through from there, all the way around the Saxon River, and then, you can kind of follow up through and then head off to the west. So, yeah, I mean, there are some known trails.
Yeah, and then from the Durand, they actually branch, come up right by the town garage,
Right.
and then over 35 and up to my hill
Yeah.
over here, and then they cross, they actually cross right at my house,
Yeah.
because that's always been
So,
a path for bear, bobcat, and deer.
and there are places that I just know I can look for deer.
Yeah.
And bears follow the dumpsters, so unfortunately, they do. They show up at the dumpsters a lot looking for food.
You see the same thing on Putnam Forest Road, but
And
we're near,
I mean, that's when it's part of the race, but
it's just a stream in a corridor to an unused road, and that's it.
Yeah.
So they find their way.
I'm sure.
They really
Yeah.
can't find their way.
and there are permits.
So it's incumbent upon us to try to preserve that access with easements that keep it covered.
And the other one is actually from Fisher Hill over to Easton, which is not actually that far. If you hike it directly,
Mm-hmm.
then you move back around the mall and there's actually kind of a big circle in town.
We're making it right of way for wildlife. Wildlife right of way
Yeah,
corridor.
you purchase easements. That doesn't mean that
It could only be 20 feet wide.
depending on the species. Some species are really shy and they're not gonna be satisfied with 20 feet.
And to Ron's point though, you do start that and all of a sudden you're purchasing up a lot of area.
Well, I'm just picking at your value there. If we're 150, probably would encompass most species. I'm not a wildlife biologist. Maybe you have to use somebody like that as a consultant. Find out where the natural corridors are, trails. Hunters certainly have a pretty good idea. At least to the species that
We need to know how far each species does
Yeah.
actually travel.
are species that we don't eat and therefore don't pay very much attention to. Weasels and that sort of thing. They're probably satisfied with a narrower corridor than a bear would be. Just my supposition. But we have to begin the process of recognizing that there's a need for this, planning it in the budget, getting an expert that could do a rough survey of where this could happen in town and present this as our solution to how wildlife corridors should be established rather than A&R's big old paintbrush.
Yeah.
The 30,000 feet.
Yeah. one thing to ask is, what's detrimental now to our wildlife as things exist? Okay. Are there real issues that we know of or can anticipate? Another thing is, the kinds of areas that we're all discussing, what I know from around where I live, no one's going to build there. So, what are the actual, potential issues in terms of people actually wanting to develop? And then part of it as well is, if I read the tier 3 stuff right, you might even have trouble building a garage, some of these places. So that could be an issue, okay, especially if you paint with a broad brushstroke. But it's hard to imagine many more places on Stagecoach Road ever being built upon. I'm surprised they built on so many of them. It's all,
Well,
they had.
just as sort of case in point, my neighbor Craig Gary, Craig lives in Gary, and I bought the Ames property, which is 212 acres, and it's not going to be developed. But if a developer had bought it, there could be a lot of houses on it.
Oh yeah,
It's like a great place to put a house, both sides of the road. And FYI, I'm listening, of course, to the whole conversation with interest, but the Nature Conservancy asked me to introduce them to a couple of people with big, big swaths of land in town. And I just thought of the Wyndham Foundation and the Grafton Improvement Association, So they have at least had some introductions and talking, and maybe if those are large forest blocks that would be connected, maybe the Nature Conservancy, because they're known, I think, worldwide for trying to identify the most environmentally sensitive and important areas, to save on this planet. And maybe working with them, if you're talking about getting an expert collaborative, that might work. Maybe giving people some kind of tax incentive rather than actually purchasing money. Now, I know there's a cash flow issue there, but there might be something that could be worked out that is, especially with people who understand the issue, they might be able to be willing to, take a little bit less, and I may have the name wrong. I think it's Vermont Environmental Design. Is anybody familiar with that? Just that, I think, is where this whole act came from, 181. Vermont Environmental Design. When there's a Vermont Biodiversity Alliance, which I'm part of, it's not a formal organization. They don't want to be a formal organization. They're not a 501c3, but they have twice gone to the United Nations International Biodiversity COP, the Conference of the Parties. Now, the climate change one gets all the press, but the biodiversity COP happens every 2 years. And in Montreal, I think it was in 2022, 21, something like that, they passed the 30 by 30 and the 50 by 50 through like 180 countries, which is designed to save 30% of the world's ocean and land mass, surface mass, by 2030, 4 years from now, and 50% by 2050. Vermont signed that law in 2023, I think, summer of 2023. Those are ambitious goals. I asked Alex Weinhagen, isn't this 181, did that come from that? Is this part designed to help Vermont come in compliance with that law? Because it's something like 70% of Vermont is owned by private land. So they have to get lots of private people, to sign on. And he was not aware that there was a direct connection, but in my mind, there is. Maybe it didn't. Nevertheless, I totally support that stuff. And I we'd love to find a way of educating the public, getting them on board, creating corridors, whether it's tax incentives, whatever, we're not gonna get it perfect, but every little step in the right direction helps.
Do they have any, biologist staff
Oh, yeah.
that would be willing to come
Well,
locally?
I would think so. I could talk to them, do you know John Benhammer?
No.
Okay, well, he just retired, but he's been on there for a long time. He's one of the main guys. But I can, I could ask,
That's not just for us, but if you could get a way of doing it regionally.
Yeah,
Paying for a biologist is obviously one of the big choke points for actually getting ground truth. I think ground truth is really important
yeah,
to get the corridor placements correct.
yeah.
That if they had somebody like that would be willing to, maybe not for free, but for reduced rate, help us define those locations.
I will ask them. I know they're stretched thin like everybody.
Yeah.
But so yeah, some doors have opened since they put me on this residence council, so that's good.
Or if they've got somebody that can educate enough of us to make a reasonable decision ourselves without being graduate biologists,
Yeah,
make decent decisions on the ground. Maybe we can do it locally, but we'd have to have help.
right. There's a lot of validity between having
scientific, whatever, studies, opinions, educated guesses, but they're educated.
Great. Well, glad you came tonight.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I think we should keep that on our discussion moving forward for,
Definitely.
Yep, it's moving fast.
and it has an impact on town plan,
Mhm.
of course, as we move toward that, which is our next item, town plan and the roadmap draft and schedule. Thank you, Ron, for that. The roadmap to Grafton, I also sent you the 1904 Rand McDowell map.
Yeah.
That Grafton didn't even exist. Did not exist in 1904 for motor vehicles. Which
I was surprised there was as many roads as there were, frankly.
wasn't that interesting?
Yeah, it was great, but I'm telling you, there were quite a few roads that honestly I thought some of our roads would have trumped some of the roads that were on there already, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting point that in 1904 you had roads for motor vehicles going from Chester to Bellows Falls, Westminster, even Wardsboro was on the road map for motor vehicles. And Grafton is just this blank area. It's not even a town. It's not even written in.
Maybe they paid extra for that.
Well, it's not as though there were no roads here.
It is
Right,
funny
there
because they
were
actually-
roads, but
They
there.
actually have a gas that's on here.
Did you bring that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Have you ever seen that? Well,
I haven't seen that.
it's the Rand McNally's 1904 road map. It was in Chester Historical Society. It put it in their society page, and I was just curious, kind of looked at it like, gee, where's Grafton? Hunting all around. Grafton isn't there.
Yeah, Bartonville,
So
we're not wrong.
we need to rebuild the road map to Grafton. But in 1904, it just showed you the topography of how they were thinking, for motor vehicles.
Mhm.
And it left us out of the loop. And we're, in essence, kind of still out of the loop because even Route 100 didn't come through here. Wardsboro is.
Yeah.
So,
The foundation to put us on the map. for better or worse. That's what it was.
So as far as the schedule, should we go back to our monthly picking a chapter, or?
Well, what I had not in mind exactly what to do, we need to figure it out together because I haven't, but you know, I don't see myself readily being able to go forward unless I have updated data for each chapter.
Exactly.
Wherever it exists, you know, I know several of the chapters don't require it and so on, but, if this is going for approval sometime next year, it would be nice if the data was 2026 data rather than, certainly not 2020, obviously. And so how do we get hold of that? That's the point where we're working with the Regional Planning Commission, where we've hired someone to help us. But, you know, what we did last year going through the chapters was very nice, but, you know, it was rather loosely done, partly because we knew the data was useless that we're working on. But we have to be much more precise now. This is going to get done on time and done well. So that's, I guess my question was, how do we get hold of good data and what time frame? You know, what kind of data can we get hold of, say, within a month or two? What kind of data might not be available to the end of the year? I don't know that. Maybe, and I'm just thinking off the top, maybe that's what we each do. We now next month is we review the current plan and say, okay, what kind of data can we really bring forward relatively soon? So there might be, you know, the housing stuff and so on might be straightforward. You know, I haven't thought about it per se, but maybe that's what we do is we come together next one and say, okay, this is what we'll get hold of first we can. And if that's not the right way to go about it, you know, maybe we just have to bring in the Regional Planning Commission person and say, okay, what can you provide us as updated data and maps and when?
They must be doing this for all towns, so won't they have some sort of schedule or availability that we ask them for that we could then use to build our schedule?
Yeah, exactly.
Not all town plans come into play at once.
It's sort of continuous.
Yeah, or they must update data periodically.
Yeah, sure. Well,
yeah.
What we're having Matt Baxter. I think he's there to assist us. He said he would. And same with Mike McConnell, both.
We identify what we want. They can get us the latest. It may not be this year's data. It might be last year's or even worse, year before. But it'll be the most current that you're going to lay hands on.
Yeah.
Some may have to be extracted and massaged out of our own town records.
Yeah.
But I think that's the minority, and most of it, particularly all the demographic kind of stuff, is that's the bread and butter of WRC. So that won't be difficult to get.
Yeah.
Identify what you want.
Well, with all that said, let's go back to the last town plan and look at the data. Whether it be housing, transportation, energy, and the goals that were to be met by 2025. I don't think there's a one that was met. So what sort of incentive do we have to say, okay, here's our next goal? Have it be higher? Is it going to be lower? Is it going to be non-existent?
Yeah, reading them, I think some of them are pretty optimistic. Maybe we need some tiered goals.
Yeah.
Well, we still don't even have our two EV chargers that we're supposed to have.
You know, the towns don't count.
No, they don't count.
I always thought that was just to look good, as if we really intended to solve all the problems of the world. But you know,
Yeah.
you know, there must be
you're never
Must be
gonna.
200 goals in that.
But I was just gonna say, there's so many in there that they were never all going to happen, but if you have 200 goals, but these are 5 top, or that we really want to try to make happen.
We commit ourselves to achieving these
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah, because you're gonna have
Well, which
a
is
lot,
not a
and that's
bad
good.
way
It's
to do it.
good to be aspirational and,
Yeah.
you know, kind of have a target in the future that you lay out, but what can you really go after?
The town plan is an aspirational document, and not only, it should guide the basic planning and administration of the town
Yeah,
going forward, but it also
and,
has a real role to play in responding to things that happen, particularly things that happen administratively, like a large development coming in. If you don't address how you're going to respond to it, it's a top level document.
yeah,
And from that, we develop things like the subdivision regulation and the flood zoning and everything else that is necessary to make the town function has to flow from the aspirational document
yeah.
of the town plan.
And the budgetary portion of the select committee, because, yeah, I'm on the select board as well.
Yeah,
And in the budgeting, you know, it's, you know, it's like, what can you afford, right? Or what are your priorities? That's really what it's coming down to. And, you know, the planning commission budget, they want to zero it out. I said, no, the town plan is coming. We're gonna need some of that.
yeah.
But they said, that, well, you didn't spend any last year. And I said, well, yeah, but the town plan's coming up again, so we are going to coming up. So they kept it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think if I wasn't there, it would have been zero.
Yeah.
So maybe I guess what I'm saying is maybe that, like as a planning commission, we participate in the budgeting, input a little bit, right? Because there is public comment, and then also, you know, I think as planning commission, we could also push for our priorities.
Well, when you think you have an 8-year period between plans, the first 4 or 5 years, you don't need a penny.
You don't need what?
You don't need a penny, you know.
Yeah.
We're not gonna, you know, need funds for the planning commission to address some of these
Right.
aspirations.
That's essentially what we said.
And then it
There are
wraps up.
periods where we.
So you,
Well, we've talked about education. I know Eric is a proponent of it, getting to some of these programs. Now, some are Zoom now, like no charter, but to get to some of these meetings in the past, it was it took some money, not a lot, but you know, it adds up. But if you get a you know, a new member that wants to learn a little bit more about what we do and what we can do with 181, is there going to be a hornet's nest coming up? You know, that we're going to need more information and spend some money on. Are we going to need to hire a biologist or you know,
If you're gonna fight back, you really get on the stick, no.
so where does that come? Where's the money? Where's the fund come from?
Right.
Which comes with shove, so you can have some money in your budget. But look at the language, I mean, it looked good at the end of the year because we didn't spend it. And
Yes.
No, I like the idea,
Target.
I like the idea of trying to prioritize your
Yeah.
aspirations.
And I would say one of the, you know, ones that might be operational is the wildlife park, where we're to start down that path. Which may take multiple years.
It probably will.
yeah, I don't see that, you know, what Eric is saying, and what you're saying, you know, these things are not at cross purposes. You know, it is aspirational.
I agree.
And then there are some, you know, but there's still, you know, some things have a more of an immediate aspirational need than
Exactly,
others.
that's all I'm saying is that.
And there's no reason why that can't be spelled out in the
Right.
plan.
Yes,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, And that way they get the attention rather than getting lost in the kind of 200.
Yeah, I was just looking at one of the chapters, and the recommendations, like there were 32 or something like
There's a
that.
lot of great stuff in there.
I'm so, at some point,
But you're not.
you
gonna get
lose them
along.
all, in terms of what you're trying to think
Yeah,
about accomplishing.
so pick your battles, and priorities.
Or like the Bible, you'll have certain things in red, rather than black.
Yeah.
Well, how do we move in terms of, being a little more concrete next month than we are this month, and then going forward?
Ask the WRC what data is available and how recent.
Yeah, maybe it's as simple as that.
Then use that
Yeah.
to start.
Well, or identify what you want for data and best.
Well,
Buckler,
And that's a nice point. So, and so that we're doing something, maybe, by next month, we've taken that quick review to see, okay, what's the data in the housing chapter?
Yeah,
So we just make a list and then we compare it to make, haven't left out anything. And think, is there something that's missing from this plan that, it would have been nice to have? Because that's always possible. So do you agree to, have our list to compare? Sure. We do next month, and then we send that to WRC and say, what do you have when?
yep.
Didn't we do?
One of those
didn't
nice
we-
AI has a great list.
Yeah, Lester, yeah.
No, I mean, when we went through it the first time, and we had those several chapters that were totally data, heavy. Those were the chapters we said we needed the WRC to update, or they were going to get us the updating. And even then, I think we also did note some of the other additional items that we thought we needed to have data provided now that wasn't on the list when we did it last time. Am I wrong? Didn't we do that?
No, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry, what was your last?
No. I mean, just saying that we did. I think we did both parts, or at least we certainly should look and see if there's other things we would like added. But we certainly did the first part, which is we have annotated. We've noted already on from our first conversations about each chapter those blocks of data that we needed to be brought up to date. That's for sure.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I made a lot of notes.
Yeah.
So
it's
that's,
right
that's
there.
easy. But I also think in my mind's eye, I'm remembering that we came up with other items besides what were on there that we thought we should get some data on. Like, I don't know, maybe something about Airbnbs. I don't recall now. There were a couple of things that we thought that there might be new numbers or numbers about that we hadn't explored as items the last time. And we certainly should think about that more. I think that's absolutely true. But the first part, I know we did. All right, that's all.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it's, and we had spoken with Matthew Blackler when he was with us. Back when we were going over this, and he said, yeah, we'll have the data at some point, but great. Can we have it for next year?
Yeah.
Not have it at the last minute, going, okay, here's your data, and
Yeah.
well, we're already at
Now's the
print.
time. Yeah.
I mean, what I'm imagining is that maybe we get enough data for a particular chapter, and then we take care of that chapter early on, so we're not, getting all bunched up at the end.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
that's smart.
What would the priority be right now?
I don't know, because I don't know what's available. In terms of, I'm suggesting setting the priorities based on what we can get when.
Get the data that's available.
May not make sense, but that's what I'm thinking.
Or on the flip side, I do go to Matt and I say, we want the data on this.
they're certainly the source for demographics and all kinds of economic information.
The other caveat is gonna be the education end of this. You know, by the time we write this next town plan, are we even gonna have a school, for
Well,
example?
May not.
we're not writing that chapter now, then.
No. So we save that one for
That's probably,
the day we go to print.
probably a risk that we
Yeah.
include in our
Yeah.
analysis.
Yeah. And we covered quite a bit. We covered all the chapters.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we basically need to now pick up speed again on it.
Exactly.
As far as, my tagline here, roadmap to Grafton.
Anybody wants to see what relatively ancient roads existed in Grafton, the 1869 De Beers Atlas, De Beers Atlas is an excellent source.
Cause you did a lot of research on the old roads.
Yeah, I was
Years.
part of that work, yeah. That's a quagmire to get into.
Yeah. Bill Kearns did a lot of work.
Yeah,
So those roads exist, and, right, still, they're on private lands.
well, a road which was established and actually put into the ground, so to speak, and constructed, unless it's thrown up by an action of the select board, still exists. And there was a hope by real estate developers and a whole bunch of legislators that they wanted to get rid of the controversy that existed from people having old roads on their property and not wanting to let other members of the public travel on them. But I believe the final state of affairs was that an ancient road which was constructed and can be shown to have been laid out, that's the term I'm looking for, laid out and constructed, it still exists, despite what many property owners would like to think
So
they could do.
Are those the beginnings of our corridors?
Not necessarily. They certainly are points of public access that I don't believe we should ever give up. We've downgraded a few roads, not thrown them up, like the one between Eastman Road and Anderson Road, that comes down over the hill to Harold Ward's property.
Bell Road.
Yeah, so the road that comes up from Eastman to the top of the hill is now a town trail. Still a legal easement of the town of Grafton, or the right of way of the town of Grafton. So you can still travel it, but the town of Grafton doesn't have to any longer take care of the culverts and ditching. But it's still something you can travel over and people can't throw you off.
I know someone who tried to go from Eastman Road to Anderson Road because it was down there, on the
There are two other roads.
on the smartphone and the computer.
There are two other roads that do that.
Yeah.
Well, we've jeeped it in the past. Is he still, still lives up there, or is they gone now?
Kevin Neha,
Yeah,
yep,
still up there?
as far as I know. He was a member of the planning commission for a while.
All right, so noted on the town plan, continuation and scheduling. Commission appointments. Morgan sent me the list. I think she sent it to everyone. Eric is to 29, I'm to 28, Buzz is to 27, Lester and Ron 26. Now, is it to the beginning of the year or to the end of the year? When does the appointment begin and end?
Doesn't start after town meeting.
Yeah,
Is it town meeting?
yeah. The appointments are
That's what
made
the
after
appointments
town
are
meeting.
made official.
Okay. So I guess,
Usually within 2 weeks of town meeting after town meeting.
okay,
I mean, Morgan contacted me and asked me if I wanted to continue.
okay.
Did she contact you, Lester?
No, she didn't. Matt, I trust you got my note, but
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think Morgan did too, that's why she didn't contact you,
oh, okay.
right?
I mean,
Okay.
I'm happy to stick around till you get somebody, but I'm just, and I'm happy to continue helping in any way, including doing your AI minutes. But I just don't see myself, being in the next few years, being able to attend as consistently. And I think it's unfair all around. But that's my position.
But after all the training we did for you.
I know, but I'm just saying I'm going to take it and use it elsewhere.
I think you're doing just fine. Would really like to have you.
Yeah.
But
Slug ahead.
I love you guys. I just, I'm just not going to be around. I'm just not going to be around. But I really don't want to, And even with this, even sticking around and putting in whatever 2 cents for this, I'm happy to do. But I know that it probably doesn't work procedurally if I'm not a member of the committee.
Well, this is an important year. Can you work it for this year?
Listen, if there's a way to wrangle that, yes, I would be happy to stick around a year, but it's actually, can I tell you something? It's actually this year coming up that I feel most embattled about. If I could get back on in 2 years, that would be great. But it's this year, honestly, that I just don't see. That's the truth.
Yeah.
So we just get a sub.
I don't know.
We just put you out for, you're on injured reserve.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, I'm on a sabbatical. That's right. I'm on a sabbatical. That's good.
No, you're injured reserve.
I don't like that.
Well, no, you still get paid.
Yeah, you signed the contract,
Yeah. And if you expect to go somewhere else and get a letter of recommendation from us,
Just forget it.
forget about it.
I'm gonna go and work for Zoran Randami. Not.
Well, maybe we need to put a notice in the Grafton News that there, anyone interested.
Well, yeah, we're gonna notify them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we know we're gonna have a spot. There's no reason to wait on it.
Yeah.
Well, you've done a great job, Lester, and appreciate all that you have provided.
You're too kind. It really has been a wonderful experience for me and a learning experience, and the depth of how much I still need to know. It comes up, is just shown to me every time I listen to you guys. Really.
Yeah. Well, if you can help, well, next month will be February. We got February and March.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you can do February, March, and possibly April at least,
Sure.
so
Really,
we can
until you.
get someone trained and,
Yeah. But, why not put a notice in, for the Grafton News at the end of this month? And, asking those interested to respond by February 10th, so we'll have hopefully some names.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought, and not that I know, but I really thought that it does happen in the spring when they had the town meeting, the town.
It does. Well, it about 2 weeks afterwards.
Yeah.
Typically.
So you can probably aim for that.
All right, so February news. I'll get it in for that. And I'll notify select board that we're for nominations.
And Morgan,
Like to
put it on
volunteer?
an email list.
Would you like to volunteer?
The Nature Museum owns me. So
Okay.
I know, I'm sitting here thinking, but no.
That's important enough, yeah. Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
And, Morgan has an email list that's quite extensive. So ask her to put it out on that. And those tend to be people that are more interested in keeping track of what's happening in the town.
Yeah, we've had some people that have come and, done a year or two at a time and found it wasn't their thing and moved on. Now, Lester, did he take over,
That's me.
Seth, I mean, there was something that happened. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I've been on 4 years in total. This will be the end of a four years because I picked up some portion of Seth's and then got a full term.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you did a regular, full thing, and then you came on when Seth left.
Yeah,
This is your second year? Third year?
supposed to be second, because I'm in first year of select board. So it's my second year.
Well, you were here a year before you
Yeah.
joined the select board, yeah.
So,
Oh, another thing about keeping track of doing all these things is Morgan is going off pretty soon. And are they hiring anyone temporarily or just
Michelle Golf is,
Michelle's gonna pick up some hours from.
pick up hours? Okay, good.
oh yeah, we lose that and we're losing a lot at a critical time.
Well, Michelle knows what she's doing, so that's good.
Minutes are gonna be important.
I honestly mean it. It's so easy, and it keeps me in the loop of knowing what's going on, which is just dandy with me. So you'll see. I mean, but don't worry about those. That's the least of it.
Yeah, okay.
Well, would you be interested in doing that as our scribe?
Yeah, I mean, as I've been doing it, it's really telling you it's easy peasy, and honestly, it's very informative as well. It's just, and I was thinking about when I thought about this earlier in the winter, like last 2 months ago, I said, this is great. I could do this and I'd still know. And I want to know. So that was that's a good idea.
Right?
Doesn't pay.
It pays. It pays.
Yeah, they're
I think that we should offer you pay if you're at all interested. Because it is a job we paid for in the past.
That's all right. It's okay.
Maybe you want to donate it. I don't care, but still, it's worthy of pay.
You'll figure it out. You'll let me know. I'll whatever you want. I was actually already imagining that I'm going to kind of crash a summer meeting when I'm in town and throw me a going away party with you guys.
okay.
So are you leaving Grafton completely or no?
Oh no, not at all. I'm between one thing and another, and especially going out. I mean, I don't know even exactly how this West Coast thing is going to work, but it's really going to be. I'm thoroughly into it. It's my first grandkid, and God knows I turned 70 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. Yeah, those are big numbers, and it's I feel my mortal coil, man. It just is.
Don't say that. I just hit 80, so okay.
Hey, Ron, keep it up. You look great. Keep it up.
Well, you're gonna say you're.
No, I was just raised right hand in concert with Lester. I mean, my kids, my family are on the West Coast too. We have a house out there and it's like, oh my God. And yeah, feeling the mortal coil. Definitely. I mean,
I was hoping not.
At Dartmouth Hospital last week.
Don't use the word mortal around me, okay?
Tell me about it. It's crazy. Why am I in New York? I'm in New York because all my doctors are here. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you, Lester, and
no, it's all good.
we can talk more over the next 2 meetings about continuing on for minutes. That'd be great.
Yep.
We get that sorted out. It helps a lot. I'll do a Grafton News notice, and I'll mention it to the select board, or can you mention it?
Yeah.
I was going Monday anyway why am I going Monday?
For the update on the contract.
That's right. Yeah,
Like,
lots going on here. This has been our busiest meeting in a while. Covered a lot.
or at 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Or
started.
Will, we're usually, we would come to you at 7:30 normally.
Oh, wow.
Well, we quickly with old business. The budget went through, right? Was
Yep.
for
It was what we asked for.
25?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a done deal. So we threw a big party for you, Lester.
Oh, great. That's what you're going to do with
Yeah,
the budget?
budget.
Yeah, we got the budget for it. Oh, geez, we have to record. Actually, we can all come out to see you.
That's what we need the budget for, party.
That's right.
And future grants, I've got his old business and keep that in the loop, because municipal planning grant,
Yep.
you stay on top of that.
Start looking for future year.
And then another, whatever grant's available for water, those studies. So the Clean Water Act is where we should go.
Yeah, I think so. That's what it is.
I'm gonna acronym that and forget what the acronym is. CWA. Clean Water Act.
It's not.
All right, new business. I showed you folks all the planning commission annual report, but
Looks great.
Looks
Yep,
good.
looks good.
Okay. And we've got Will Danforth on invasive plants.
So I'll try to be succinct, given what time it is.
And so, sorry to make you wait, but you learned a lot, didn't you?
No, it was very interesting, actually. And so I have another big cost basis for you, a catamount, if you will, with the invasive issue, invasive plants. And I want to compliment, the town plan people because you drew attention to it. It's in the plan. You talk about having some workshops, educating the public, teaching them how to identify stuff, how to bring information into the public awareness so we deal with it, stuff like that. And of course, I've sat here and listened to you say, okay, it's been 3 years and we have all these goals, and, So I'm not here to number one, I'm not here as part of the nature museum. I'm just here as me, okay? And I'm not here to hold your feet to the fire. I'm just saying, let's get a plan together. Here it is in the town plan. And probably, I'm assuming that I won't get a lot of pushback, because I didn't get a lot of pushback from the select board, which is why I'm here. They said, yeah, go to the planning board. So it's a huge issue, and it could cost a lot of money, or, well, it's a difficult one, and probably Act 181 is overlapping in a way that might make it even more difficult to deal with both of them at the same time. on the other hand, maybe you could draw some kind of a Venn diagram and see where they overlap. And maybe, you know, public education, if it comes to that, could incorporate the two together in some way. I'm not, this was kind of news to me. I didn't expect this 181 thing to come up with. But nevertheless, I see this as a matter of costs, no matter what. Because, and it's a choice, you know, it's a setting of priorities, as you say. And maybe the public, well, I think the public definitely needs to be involved to make this choice, because I think, frankly, there's probably a line item in the budget for the town that needs to happen about dealing with invasives. If you do nothing, the invasives will cost you. For instance, you know, Japanese barguard harbors mice, which harbors ticks, which harbors Lyme disease. So that's a cost to the community. When you look at knotweed out, you look at, we've got plenty of, you know, established knotweed around, right? You don't see one sapling coming up through there. The knotweed is going to become a monoculture, and it is only going to creep farther and farther every year until it's dealt with. You go through Cambridgeport, you see the burning bush on, you know, and it's everywhere. You go over on Route 7 on the west side of the state, and there's poison parsnip lining everywhere. These are costs to the community. So it really is a choice, you know, in my mind. Do you allow these costs to happen, which will contribute then to the biodiversity crisis that we have, or do you spend some money? And if the choice is to spend some money, I think it would be great to see those costs allocated to those who can afford it, who can most afford it in a graduated way, you know. And of course, I would be happy to be, you know, up there somewhere. Not everybody would be, I can understand that. Some education and stuff like that is probably needed. As a town, though, you probably have to, like, if you spray, for instance, knotweed, the only way you're going to get rid of it is glyphosate. Or there is an effort up in Waitsfield and Warren and stuff like that that is using just human muscle and time, but they're out there every Thursday night. Do we have volunteers who are willing to do that down here? I don't think so. The nature museum hasn't been fine, you know. So then it becomes a choice between, do you use glyphosate or do you allow the thing to expand? Maybe we could get volunteers, but you'd have to have a real coterie of people who are absolutely, you know, it's worth it to them to avoid glyphosate. I'm sorry, I'm saying glyphosate as if you all know what it is. Do you know what it is? Roundup. You'd have to have enough people who are so opposed to that they're willing to come out with shovels, work for an hour or two, you know, every week. So that's a hard choice to me. I assume that, you know, getting a licensed applicator, that you protect yourselves from the town's liabilities, stuff like that, you know, and they know how to do it and when to do it, and they do it right. I'm not saying it's cheap or anything like that, but maybe you just start with a patch here, a patch there, you know. It's like, how much do you want to do? How much education for the public? But so these are all questions that I think are not easy questions, but I think they need to be asked. And I'd love to see the public get involved and decide, you know. And I realized that the town meeting is March 3rd, right?
Yeah.
Which is when I fly to work. So, unfortunately.
You need your passion there to, you know, get people to listen.
I would take that into account next year. Last year, we're not working on the same day. It's just the timing of the year.
I know we could have for this town meeting is maybe get some flyers out on invasives that people can pick up at a.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the Nature Museum is mentioned in here as giving workshops. It's news to me when I read this. But nevertheless, you know, we have done a few workshops, but we've gotten very little attendance. There isn't a lot of interest, you know, or maybe people have conflicts and I don't know, priorities, what have you. You know, we continue to offer stuff like that. We continue to try to inform people through the Grafton News. It gets buried in a long block of text, unfortunately, you know, one paragraph that says, okay, we're doing this, you know, the public's welcome to come out and watch us burn reed canary grass, which is an invasive, which is in our wetland. I'm talking from the Nature Museum, but I don't want to, not an official thing. So we just don't, you know, it's hard to get interest.
You know,
But if
Will,
this becomes a town issue with a budget item, I think that might perk up some people's ears, you know? And if the town were to hire, they don't have to hire us, they could hire Longview Forest, which is one of the licensed applicators that we employ at the museum to deal with our invasives. So you could hire them or somebody else, you know, to come and do some public things, some public education things, and try to get people engaged.
Yeah, I just wanted, Leslie, you wanted to ask a question?
I'm sorry.
Or
And I must say, Peggy came to one of our events. Thank you.
I just had her come in to listen. She is all over this, Will. You know this. I mean, she really is.
Yeah, I do.
She gets dressed up. She with her hazmat outfit and with her paintbrush and goes and cuts the knotweed. Is that what it is? What is it, Peggy? What's the name of the one you do? And you know, and paints the tops of. And I mean, she's serious. She's out there.
That's amazing to me. That's amazing. Well, that way you avoid what is it, collateral damage. Because spray is inevitable to get some collateral damage.
Basal stem application.
Yeah.
Is there a way you can, you know, sort of lay something down a bit concrete in terms of suggestions and priorities and so on that, you know, could just be a resource that only for me, but for others. So it's easier for us to pick up the ball for you. Or
I'm sorry, what are you saying?
well, you know, this level of conversation can on and can get back and forth, but it's not going to get anywhere.
Right.
So,
Right.
so, you know, I tend to be practical and say, okay, what would you suggest we do next and why?
Yeah.
And so on. So it'd certainly be easier for me to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to be moving towards, okay, our first thing is knotweed and Roundup. Is that, you know, what you would make a priority, you know, or not? You know, I just so something that allows me to review it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. What is the first step? And that's one of my questions.
Yeah, my roundabout way.
It's sort of like, okay, you know, does it happen in this room with the planning commission? Does it happen with an invitation to the public to come and discuss this for those who are interested? I'm not sure exactly how you get it going because, I mean, as I mentioned, the Nature Museum has tried to get some interest in it, but not without a lot of success.
Well, your gardeners and people who enjoy the outdoors and can know the difference between a pine tree and a maple tree.
Yeah,
So going to be the first ones that you're going to attract.
right.
Because most people can't identify a pine tree from a maple tree,
Yes,
let alone from bittersweet growing up the maple tree.
yeah.
Most people don't know what knotweed is. They just look at this it's beautiful bush that's along the river. So most, I'd say, especially 80% of the people driving by knotweed, Japanese bamboo, don't know what it is.
Even in the people who live in.
Even the people that live here.
Wow.
I'm constantly teaching people what the invasives are. It's my business.
Yes,
Pointing out bittersweet when it's that small.
yeah,
And
right.
that's what we need to go after.
I would say so.
Bittersweet is moving into this area.
Yes, it is.
Following the corridors, the river corridors, the wreaths that people made and gave you for the door at
Isn't it
bittersweet.
crazy?
Yeah,
I see them down at Woodbury's in Springfield. I know, they don't realize it's Asian bittersweet.
right.
Yeah.
So identification, finding those that are interested. And again, it's your gardeners and people who care about their yards and
Mhm.
forests, and working with those people to just kind of spread the word.
Yeah,
And then finding those small areas. You're not going to go in along the Saxon River and start pulling knotweed, but where you are going to get it is if you see a patch of it where it shouldn't be,
Mhm.
start working on that area.
right.
And then little by little, like you say, just find an area that you can dig out and destroy.
I really do like the idea of volunteers and the shovel work and.
But then you're going to be careful when you dig it out
Yeah.
because you can spread it.
You don't get rid of it for 10 years doing that.
Yeah.
It's every week and then 10 years.
Yeah. But even every little root and rhizome that you pull out,
That's right.
you could be spreading it.
That's right.
So you got
And I have to, okay, so when I was at the select board meeting, I just have to give a shout out to Dave,
Dave Rogers, he
Rogers,
said they
yeah.
go after the police
Yeah.
and arsenic wherever they see it, wood workers,
Mhm.
because they know it's dangerous, it's
They've learned to take their equipment back at the town and garage and take it and clean it off.
spread
So,
down.
okay, that's great.
is he cutting it before it seeds? What's he doing?
I'll have to get more.
I-
That's part of the state's problem is they're not cutting it before it goes to seed. They're cutting it after it goes to seed. That's been the problem since it began.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Now, I mean, I don't know. I wonder how many of you, I had, I think 3 articles in the Grafton News about getting rid of invasives in August, September, and October, because I wanted people to get ready, because the invasives all show themselves in October. You can find them easily, right? I don't know how many people saw that.
They were very good because I find it interesting because I know it and it's like, well, yes.
You know, you try, but, yeah, so I think it's worth a discussion about how do we create interest, number one. I mean, to your point, Ron. And how do we set it up so that it's easy for people to learn? Do you send stuff out so that, you know, something arrives in each of their mailboxes? I wonder how many percentages of those would go straight into the circular file, you know what I mean? I don't know. I would just love to see a plan start to move forward. I could help as I can, you know. And I think it needs to be something bigger than just like dealing with your own land, you know, because there's a lot of public areas along the roads and stuff like that, you know, that, I mean, look at the cross from the Rushton Farm, you know, everything that Irene did there, and now you can't even see the brook.
Yeah.
You know, that's a huge, massive, infestation right there. And, yeah, Marcus is gonna deal with that, you know?
But the clumps that are on the other side near his fence line should be taken out.
The which?
He has some knotweed growing on the pasture side. There's some clumps of it along his fence. Those should be taken out so they don't spread in that direction.
True.
The big patch that's along the river, you're not going to get rid of it unless the state comes up with a plan to go in, and probably your only answer is going to be chemically.
And there is the argument that, well, these things are with us now, we're not gonna do anything about it, you know, so what do you do?
Yeah.
Okay. My question to that is, okay, where do you draw the line? Which stuff do you want to surrender to? And which stuff can you still take out and have a positive impact? As I said before, every little step you take, in the right direction is gonna help. But it takes time, it takes money.
Education of the town crew, when they're moving material, they're gonna make sure that they're not moving something that has knotweed in it. There's a lot of knotweed got up into Wyndham.
Dave said they're doing a pretty good job right now. So.
Well, in the past, it wasn't.
That's true.
And I've worked on trails that, I won't mention any names, but the company that brought gravel on some trails to fix some washouts.
Yeah.
Gravel had knotweed in it.
Yeah.
And it's up at 1,500 feet in elevation.
Oh.
In this beautiful, pristine hemlock forest, and there's knotweed starting to grow along these trails.
That's too bad, yeah.
And they also have a barberry problem.
Yeah.
And the birds did that. There's a meadow on Green Mountain Turnpike that's loaded, and the birds go from there up into the trees.
Yeah.
Into this hemlock forest.
Right.
And there's bittersweet growing in where there's sunny areas.
Stuff, you manage it.
Yeah.
Right.
I said bittersweet, I meant barberry.
Yeah.
But they've also got bittersweet and also burning bush, where you'd never think you'd want to see it.
Right.
Right. Or expect to see it.
Is the Nature Museum willing to hold periodic education sessions, or perhaps involve an organization like Grafton Improvement Association for actual boots on the ground?
I would talk to them. I'm of course not the EP, so I don't. We have a rather strict differentiation of power and lines of communication and stuff like that, which works pretty well. So, but I would talk to the EP and maybe Jay DiGregorio, who's head of education. I can certainly talk to them. I mean, they know I'm auto. So
as far as, you're not going to get the older population that's in town getting out there pulling invasives.
No, that's right.
You got to start with younger families with children, and point out what the plants are.
Yeah.
It's my business to show people what's right and wrong out in properties.
Right.
And you constantly show, okay, that's a piece of bittersweet. It's only that big, but it's bittersweet. You show it to them.
Would it make any
See
sense?
it. Well, so it's these young people that are going to hopefully get it to care for their properties. They'll start with their own properties, for sure. And if they're walking along a road or a trail, watch for it. If you see this, pull it, put it in your pocket, and dispose of it when you.
Just wondering
if disposal is important too.
Does it make any sense to get the school involved?
I think it would make lots of sense to get them involved.
Because
we've
got lots of energy, small hands to get it.
That's right.
Also, just maybe just highlight things a bit more in the news, like putting something in the what's the news section. The top of the third page. I'm blanking what they call it. News and brief. Just put it, short to the point. Calling a meeting or something, a location, see who shows up. And that's certainly one way of getting something started soon.
Do you or someone who has a weed wrench?
I have a weed wrench.
That with a poster board on a table at the town meeting might attract those people that are more mechanically and engaging than intellectually engaging in pictures and theoretical things. That might trigger some interest. And I think the idea of getting a school involved, that's really good. That getting the parents of school age kids, boy, that's going to be tough. They're having a hard time surviving right now.
I understand, yes.
It's really hard. So
Yeah.
this is going to be way down on their priority list of their kids.
Mhm.
Get kind of involved in it, a little bit like 4-H programs where you actually have a kind of a knit group of people that learned how to do various sorts of things, propagated skills through the community. School is important.
I wonder, as I'm sitting here listening and everything, it feels like having, first off, a communication plan might be the most important thing. Not necessarily going straight for the budget item or anything like that at a town meeting or what have you, but getting some sort of an education plan, like how do you create interest in a topic like this that affects everybody and in different ways, and people have all varying different abilities to deal with it, whether it's physical or monetary. But how do you communicate and get it out there into their consciousness, rising it above from, I don't have time for this, to
Right.
at least something that they are paying attention to. I'm not a communications expert, but we certainly worth asking that question. Or and I wonder if the Wyndham Regional Commission, is that somebody who would be able to help? The Conservation Commission.
Chris Campany definitely would be, because he's, I've had discussions about invasives on his own property.
He's certainly well aligned. Whether they've got a staff person now that is actively engaged in that sort of thing. WRC has had to scale back a lot on its involvement because they have lost funding. And
is that the administration has withheld funding?
yeah, basically the WRC used to do a great deal with emergency management, and one of the committees they just dropped was nature, basically.
Yeah.
The naturalist committee. We still have, and they dropped energy. We still have the project review committee because that's almost statutory. I served on that. Still have Brownsfield. That is still funded federally, but it has been difficult for them to function with the money that's coming in. And you'd think they were well funded, but they're not. They're scrambling for money all the time. But they're staying in the black, which is commended. Did a lot of good staff leave over the years, which is unfortunate.
Well, maybe asking questions about how to communicate feels so nebulous, but if we're going to do something, then
That's the first step.
I think so. I think it's education, and somehow being able to rise above the massive information that's out there to say, okay, 10% of the population is actually paying attention to this. And it's interesting because it's sort of fun. It's, I like plants, but that makes me kind of weird probably, but anyway.
I was looking around, Vermont Fish and Wildlife has a program
Okay.
for education. That, I don't know how how many resources they have to, go into it. They call it their LIET program,
Their what program?
LIET.
LIEP, okay.
And, actually,
I should talk to the Vermont Biodiversity Council too, because one of the key guys there is
Yeah.
the one who did the anomaly thing in Wakefield, and somehow he got people involved in that.
Yeah,
Extension service too?
it stands for,
Well, they're on the Biodiversity Council, Vermont, the University Extension Service.
yeah,
Can't remember the guy's name, but yeah.
This-
Might be,
this says it stands for locate, identify, evaluate, treat, and prevent the spread of terrestrial invasive species, so they call it LIET. And most of the ones you just talked about, they have listed as primary targets, and part of it's education. So I don't know if they provide
one good thing about dealing with invasives is that it's something you can do. You know, it's like the climate change thing out there just seems too big. Nothing in it, and biodiversity crisis, you can't do anything about that, you know? Okay, we can maybe make some corridors, but at least you can go out and pick some invasives today.
yeah,
Make a difference.
I've heard about knotweed barberries. I hadn't really heard that much before.
Barberry?
Just me.
Oh, man, get on the vermontinvasives.org and you will find 50 plants that are invasive in this state, just as this state.
Well, you talked about, communications and, I'm thinking, okay, hit the schools, you get a little thing in News and Brief, and this is important, not to you, but it's important as well. Okay?
Yeah.
Not just to you. And so you show people that it's important, okay? And my sense is, so each month you have a paragraph in the news, invasive species update or whatever, or what's happening in Grafton or something, and you just hit it month after month.
Yeah.
At some point, enough people have been hit by that and noticed it, and you can perhaps go to them for money or something.
Repetition, totally.
But the communication is that everyone looks at the news.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you've got to bring that information out of the, 2 columns of, what's happening at the Nature Museum each month.
Right.
And as interesting as that is, and it's varied.
Yeah.
So just, if something gets pulled out, something specific that's concrete, this is how you would, get one of rid of something on your own land or something.
Yeah.
This is how, you know better than me in terms of thinking of things that might grab people's attention. But it's important, so you indicate it's important by having its own place in the news on the month.
And have the field teams and better weather than this, that'll go out and lunch provided.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's a social aspect.
Yes.
If you can get a group out there to do it, definitely there's a social aspect. Yeah. And I think that's important to play out. That's right. I'm sitting here thinking, okay, May is going to be about garlic mustard. Because it looks like we can identify it. So for a couple of weeks.
And you'll tell us why, including me, why that's important to think about trends.
That's right.
And that's.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think I've said all I can.
Yeah, well, thank you for your efforts. Well,
Yeah, I hope everybody will take it to heart because it's sort of about communicating.
I know it's in the town plan, but there may be more that we can add as well when we go through that chapter.
Yeah, this thing, I highlighted, but I don't belabor that.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'll take off and leave you to your meeting now.
we're set. Yeah.
We just set a record for
Yeah.
For a longest one for a while.
Any more public comment? No public comment? Will you have anything more to say?
No.
Our next meeting is the 10th of February. Lester, thank you for joining in.
Thanks for having me.
And, motion to close meeting?
Motion to be eliminated.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Good night, guys.
Night,
Good
gentlemen.
night.
Be well. Stay well, everyone.
You as well, be
All
well.
right. Take care. Good night.
4 o'clock. Time flies and now we're good time, yeah.